Oh, and I've been watching Star Trek The Next Generation again, but on Paramount Plus, where it's in crystal clear high definition. Oh my God, you've never seen so many bad makeup jobs. Like there's so many times where they like mix like the makeup of like the fish man in with like his regular face. You can like see the line where it's all glued on and stuff. You can see screws in the set, like where like the panels are screwed in. You can see like a bit of schmutz like on the bottom of Picard's chair, and like where like people kicked the walls and stuff and left scuff marks. But best of all, you could see the deepest, most vivid camel toe you've ever seen on a primetime television show. It's incredible. It's incredible. Between
who? Like,
Mariana Sirtis, who plays Deanna Troi, she's got some nice camel.
I knew it'd be her. I had no doubt.
But the camel toe empress, as it were, is Worf's baby mama. I can't think of her name right now, but it's the Klingon chick. No. They had a kid together. Alexander's a kid. This is TNG, not Deep Space Nine. But she shows up and she's in this like tight ass Klingon like lady sweatpants, and she's got a real deep one, just a real moose knuckle going on. It's vivid.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm enjoying that. Yeah.
Dax and Worf have a romance or something?
They were married. They're married. Yeah.
So one of the co-presenters from Car Trek named it after Star Trek, obviously, and there is a full set recreation of like most of the Enterprise and everything else down in near Savannah, Georgia. And so it's always been his dream to go and film something there. And they are adamant that it was not created for pornographic purposes, but obviously. And we shot scenes there of dressed up. Cool. They have outfits and everything. It's I
already have my
surreal to understand that like people work here. This is their thing. They do, yeah.
That's really cool. I'm not like a super Trek nerd. I just like the shows. I would never show up at one of those conventions. I don't think I own a single piece of like memorabilia. I don't have any Spock ears or anything. But I just grew up watching that show with my dad from the time I was like 5 years old, and I don't know. I've always loved it. And just despise Star Wars.
My father loves Star Trek too. Well, still does.
Which one did he like? Probably the original?
No, he liked TNG.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he liked Deep Space Nine too. But
I wonder how he would feel about if he went back. There's a few like anti-religion episodes. There's an episode where they get exposed to this like Bronze Age culture. They see Picard, and this guy starts talking about the Picard. He's like, I saw the Picard. He lives in the sky, and he fucking brings people back from the dead, and he flies and shit. He's the overseer, and like Picard's like having this meeting, like, I'm not going to let these people slip back to where they were 2,000 years ago with this supernatural believing in gods and wizards nonsense. Like he's so mad about like the idea of them having a religion. It's a very anti-religion episode, I think, but it's true. Like Picard has to go down and the dude won't believe him. And he's like, fucking kill me then. It's kill me. If that's the only thing that'll make you believe that I'm mortal, shoot me. And the guy shoots him and kills him. But, they just sneak him back up and patch him up. So, beam him back to the ship.
Picard taking chances. People
they're always so you never seen examples of like, I think maybe once you saw it, for maybe twice, where someone came and used their like advanced technology on like a primitive race to pretend like they were a god. Like I wanted to see more of that because it seemed like it would be so easy to do. And Picard's always like the first to be like, no.
Picard was a spoil sport with his Prime Directive bullshit.
Yeah, you could have easily been like
Captain Kirk would have fucked with him.
They're trying to make more Star Trek movies, but I think the problem that's holding them back is that they want them to be those gigantic blockbuster movies, and they just need to be Star Trek movies. It doesn't need to compete with Marvel, but they really seem to want it to be like this gigantic thing. I wish they'd just tell a Star Trek story, though.
I like the Star Trek movies, and everybody else hates them, and I get it. You see Star Trek, you maybe want something a little less like the theatric equivalent of Smarties candy, right? But if you're like, hey, that's what Star Trek is. Star Trek is space problems solved with base jumping, motocross, and MMA skills. This is apparently the skill set you need to save the world going forward.
The show that I like is so much less boring. It's a space drama where the problems are solved with well thought out negotiations and like generally generally reasonable antagonists as well. I watched one last night and like it's these races who have been at arms for like generations, and one of them's like yells and the other one's like, oh yeah, well what about this and that, and Picard's like, please gentlemen, and the guy's like, forgive me for my anger. You're right. And I'm like, no one has ever said that ever. No one's ever been like, you know what? I got angry and said something I didn't mean. Sorry about that. It literally said that. No, I like that part. I like the fucking sci-fi of it all, but I also like the gamesmanship. They don't need to even shoot. Like there wasn't a lot of shooting in Star Wars, believe it or not. Like it was mostly like talking about
shooting was dull.
Yeah,
like something about Star Wars shooting typically is like one shot, phaser set on stun. We put that guy to sleep. It's
because the show's so cheap, like, and filming action is so expensive, right? Like the shows were a lot of, like that's combat. Like meanwhile, you're like, man, I'd fuck those Star Trek guys up with a shotgun. They'd be like, and I'd be like, boom, 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 boom. Like Data's the only one left, right?
Why would you have picked a shotgun though?
Anything.
Why did it make that noise?
Any gun.
Yeah, but first of all, why did it make that noise? I didn't see you pump the shotgun at all.
It's a Benelli M4. I'm using whatever gun I imagine. It's a
How
Benelli
many rounds
M4.
are in your Benelli F4, Kyle?
Off the top of my head, like 10.
Oh, that's more than I expected.
I got 9-round tube, I think. I think you do a 9-round tube. Definitely do an 8. I take the whole fuck. Michael Dorn would be the last holdout. He played Worf. He still looks like he's a hardy gentleman.
Has he had a career outside of Worf?
No.
I wonder if he would have if you could recognize him.
I recognize him personally. He's best as Worf.
Okay.
They're all coming back for another cash grab next year. Don't worry. Picard season
face
3
made for radio.
He has a face made for a lot of makeup. He's not ugly, but he's just not like a notably good looking guy. Season 3 of Picard, I guess, has the whole TNG cast coming back, like the whole TNG cast. I refuse to watch any more of that show. I stopped at season 1. Brave New Worlds is coming out, and it's like a fresh reboot of the original series, basically, beginning with Pike and having Kirk in it and stuff. So I'm going to try that out. But I'm done with most of the Discovery stuff.
I watched Picard season 1, and I was like, okay. And then people were like, season 2 sucks. So I didn't watch season 2. But then I heard season 3 is great. Season 3.
Dude. Have you seen it yet? Or
no, I actually started watching season 2 to get caught up, and I really liked season 2.
Okay, well,
I had a good time with it. I was totally surprised. Like anything that has anything to do with Q, I always like it.
Yeah, I don't like Q.
Yeah, I find him. See, I look at Q and I'm always like, fucking Jedi and Sith are so silly when there's a Q out there.
Yeah, just a jokester god essentially.
Yeah.
He's sort of a Loki type character who just comes and plays hijinks. To me, the Q's showing up on the show is almost the writers and characters' way of having a cheap episode where they just do that fucking thing where they make a flash when he snaps his fingers, and it also gets them to dress as fucking Robin Hood or do some historical reenactment, which they all love to do because they're theater actors.
Yeah, it bothers me those episodes.
Season 3, dude, is member berries, nostalgia, fan service, but done so well that you're just. I look forward. A new episode came out 15 minutes ago. I'm psyched to go watch it in an hour. I'm going to sit down with my popcorn. I'm going to fucking get my sugar-free Kool-Aid. Like, this is going to be a night. It's so good. They bring old-ass Picard back, and he gets a message from the doctor, Beverly Crusher. I need you now. Our son is in danger. Bum, bum, bum. And he's like... so. He's retired and he can't get a ship, so he calls up Riker, and him and Riker flag down like a nice ship called the Titan, like a state of the art Starfleet vessel, and they're like, we're here for emergency inspections, and the captain treats them like shit. They show up for dinner in the captain's mess. He's already started eating, and Picard's like, I'm sorry, were we late? And he's like, no, you're right on time. Have a seat. And he's like, it's really talking down to him about how
I love that shit. When you have a character built up, that a scene like this, it's like you ate before Captain Picard could sit down.
Then he's
it's like little setups that are just that moment exists because you've watched the shows before,
And Picard's like, it's nice to meet you and make your acquaintance, Captain. And he's like, oh, we've met before. You might not remember. And it's when Captain Picard was the Borg at Wolf 359 or whatever it was, when he like killed
the cutest
20,000 like servicemen, destroyed like 40 vessels or whatever it was. And now Picard's like, he can't talk back. He's got to sit there and take it because he did do all that shit. And he keeps talking down to him. Like Picard brought him a gift of wine. He's like, he's a wine expert himself. And he's like, nah, I don't think this really pairs well with tonight's blah, blah, blah. And like rejects the wine and just shits on him the whole time. By the time it's over, like I'm multiple episodes in, it's not over. But Worf is in the mix and Geordi's in the mix. And they found a way to tastefully bring back Data, I guess. But Worf is such a fucking badass. He introduces himself as like Worf, son of Moog, Bane to the house of Duras, a slayer of Martok. Would you like some chamomile tea? And it's like really, he's like centered himself. He's got a white ponytail, the big white eyebrows, but he's got a sword on his back that he'll decapitate a motherfucker with at a heart.
What about the guy that was rude to Picard? Did he sort of get his comeuppance?
Oh, he's the best. You fall in love with him. He's the like.
I already felt that I would have liked this guy
that's like
because, like, to just I don't know.
Yeah, you fall
talking
in
shit
love
to
with
Picard's a big deal. Like he's famous. He's famous in the show.
Yeah,
like infamous or famous or loved. Or
they give you those member berries. The captain's like, I don't know, little things like the time you almost destroyed this, and when you violated the Prime Directive just to get some alien pussy on this planet, and the time like he's like laying Picard out. And Picard just looks at Riker and goes, "Those were the days." Like, this guy knows everything Picard's ever done.
But that's a good comeback too. Like, yeah, I had a great time getting alien pussy, violating Prime directives.
He did exactly that.
The scene's like
it was in a movie.
Oh,
the moments that they build up are the things that I like in the second season. They have a Borg queen in their possession, like on the ship. And they're kind of in this alternate timeline dimension that Q can do this, and he puts them in like a different world. So everyone is uncomfortable and weird because they've been living. It's like they're not comfortable in their own.
Oh, the
skin.
fascist version, yeah,
yeah, exactly. Except the autistic girl is like unaffected by this major change. And
autism is a superpower. I've seen it before.
And the Borg queen is like just like the Predator in that Predator movie where they're like, we don't have autism on our planet, we've come here to bring it to ours.
Woody, you started watching the Star Trek Strange New Worlds with Jackie.
I have two more episodes.
Oh, lovely. So there's an episode of Seinfeld where they talk about the gene picks and back in the day you'd have this curated like group of VHS tapes that like the employees there put together, like, oh, this is Dave's fucking top 3 of the week. And like Star Trek Strange New Worlds is definitely a fucking Kyle pick that I fully endorse with 2 thumbs up.
The animated
one. Waste your time. So it is more silly and it's more comedic. But it's based in the Star Trek universe. I've watched it sort of in the background before and I'm okay with it. I did like the crossover episode they did where the animated character came into the real world and they had the voice actor play them, and I thought that was wonderfully done, and it was great that their voice actors look so much like their characters. That's tremendous. It would have been so weird otherwise. It wouldn't have worked. They would have done it, I suppose. But I like that Star Trek a lot. It's not classic Star Trek. They speak too casually to one another. They're not professional enough for me because they're essentially the Space Navy, right? It's like fucking sir, yes sir, and shit. You know, there's that they can't on one scene have them do the traditional like boatswain whistle with everybody standing at attention in their dress uniforms, and then later on be talking about eating pussy, which is what Star Trek Discovery is. Like the ship's like shaking, you know, they're doing shaky cam, and like the one lesbian's like, how about the little boogie later, and the other lesbian is like, ooh la la, and it's like, save the ship.
That sounds terrible.
But Strange New World's real good.
No, I'm here for it. There should be more sex talk in every show.
Yeah, and look, it's not. They do that. They do a lot of the Star Trek tropes, which I like. And it is a bit soap opera-ish, I suppose. Like they have a lot of fun with Spock because him repressing his emotions. He's got a fiance who's fucking hilarious. She's just so dry. She's like, "Oh, I see you will not be attending the dinner that we planned. How unfortunate. I will depart." And just like, but there's so much under like all that Vulcan, like just straightforward, no emotion shit. She'd be, "Oh, perhaps our wedding will not happen then instead." And it's just going to be real cold at times. And it's fun to see their relationship play out because there's all these zany times where like, "Oh, I've been turned into a human suddenly. What will I do?" Shit like that'll happen. I like it. I like it a lot, but I like Star Trek.
The one about Spock and his wife. Are you talking about the animated one or the one that I'm watching? Yeah. I saw that too. Yeah, I like her.
I like the his fiance or whatever.
Yeah.
I think the blonde Nurse Chapel's pretty fucking hot. She's got a really pretty face, although she does not. Those like weird suits they have her in are not very flattering. She looks like a.
You know what? I looked at her more carefully. Can we get a picture of her, the nurse from
Nurse Chapel from Star Trek: Strange New Worlds? She's got this white uniform that is not flattering.
It's like they tell us that she's hot, and I buy it for a while. Then I look more closely, and I'm like, you're actually not even pretty.
OG Nurse Chapel was a fucking 10 out of 10. Like, I'm pretty sure she was the big titty blonde chick.
On the right? That's
God
the 10
damn it, Kyle. Your memories failed you once again. Not even
that's
that
really
looks
good
like
picture.
that looks so much like my second grade teacher.
That Nurse Chapel,
wait.
I actually think she's pretty in both these pictures.
Is that Loaxana Troy? Is that the shit? I could be wrong.
No,
I don't want to get me wrong.
So.
No, I think the chick on the right is very pretty. But she doesn't look good in that bodysuit. It makes her look.
It takes
really
her shape away.
And,
look how square she is.
She's not even square. She's sort of a trapezoid. Her hips are kind of wide, but she also stays wide in the middle. It's not very attractive on her, and she's always in it, and it's unfortunate because the lights are bright on the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet that in another outfit she's a very shapely person.
Yeah, you need to get Rick Berman running Star Trek again. He knew how to handle this sort of thing. He'd put you in a vacuum tight suit till you'd faint during the time between scenes. He had Jerry Ryan fucking.
You know what, sweetheart? We're gonna remove your bottom two ribs, give you a nice waist.
That would be awesome. Yeah, very great Star Trek. I really enjoy it. And they've got plenty of like slack in the timeline to keep making episodes and they've introduced you to Kirk. I don't love that actor they got playing like.
He's won
Kirk,
me over. I was
but
with
he's
you
pretty
at first.
good.
Yeah, now I like him a lot.
I'm in the middle on it.
Chris,
Okay.
are you also no Star Trek experience at all?
I've never seen a second of Star Trek.
Same.
Show or the new movies? No, like nothing.
I saw the movie that came out in 2009 where the one guy, because I've said this before, my high school girlfriend's dad, like I'd never seen like he must have been like early 50s at the time. Like every time I went over there, this is the same house I fucking shit all over. Every time I would go over there, he like after that movie came out, he was watching it every single time.
The 2009 Star Trek. Do you know what it was?
Yeah,
Can you give me a plot rundown?
It was the one where I like never hung out with him down there and watched it really, but it's like the beginning, and then the guy is in the ship, and he's like, I need to. The main Captain Kirk
Mute
or something.
Taylor.
No, Captain Kirk's dead. I'm getting it. I'm remembering it in real time.
Wait, so it's the one where
Captain Kirk's father, Captain Kirk, is in this big ship, and he's flying towards some sort of other ship, and for some reason they're like, the autopilot won't work anymore. You can't leave that ship and teleport back to us. Someone has to be in there to drive it into the space station. And he's like all sad, obviously. And so he's talking to his wife and Lil future Captain Kirk. And then he's like talking. He's like, what's his name going to be? As he's like flying into the crash. And he's like, his name will be Captain Kirk. And then
what he says,
Tiberius.
not what he says. Name after your father. Oh, don't do that to him. James Tiberius, And then you really ruined it.
I don't know if
2009. It's the fucking Kelvin timeline where Nero goes back in time and splits the fucking reality.
Agree to disagree.
To move everything along again. Where Captain Kirk's father is killed, but right before he's born, and then there's a whole new timeline created by Nero and the battle that ensues and all that shit.
Oh, and then he's
like
really into, and then he like is like obsessed with a 1965. Like he's driving a classic car. It's
As
hundreds of years in the future. Yeah,
it would have been an antique. His stepfather says that car's an antique.
Yeah, I know, but it's funny because it's just some boomer writing it about something they like, and imagining that anyone 200 years from now is going to give two fucks about some dog. Is anybody now obsessed with like a really great chariot? No, because that's how fucking retarded that shit is. Like some idiot is like, hey, you can go to Toys R Us in this world and buy a hoverboard for free.
We'll still be in cars 200 years from now. Now, I will say this, in the Star Trek universe, the final episode of Star Trek Enterprise reveals that everything we've seen, the past 5 seasons, I believe, of this TV show, was a different Star Trek character from a different Star Trek TV show watching a hologram, watching a holographic projection, and like watching the historical records.
I don't like that.
Because he's a couple hundred years ahead, right? So it's William Riker goes, that was great to see how things were back then. Well, back to fucking green bitches and running shit. And he just like walks off the holodeck, and you're like, bro, I don't know if I like that.
Like wait, so nothing was at stake?
Well, it was all at stake, but they like kind of like
back then. Yeah, that seems like they fumbled it.
Of course they fumbled it. Yeah. But no, that's the only example that I can think of where at the end they kind of pull the rug out that, oh yeah, like this was, I mean, it kind of didn't happen the way
they love using their show to set up their next one.
Yeah.
Well, see, they did it in reverse here though. This was reversed though. This was like Riker had been canceled for years, right? Like that uniform didn't fit. And you know, he was wearing the old school uniform. It didn't even make sense. But I like the new Star Trek. Like if I wanted to tell somebody these days who want, like, if they were like, hey, I kind of want to get into Star Trek. I just think the uniforms look cool, and I know that like women are really into Star Trek. Yeah. No, absolutely not. Stay away from that. Stay away from that woke ass shit. Unless you're a lady or you know another. But if you want to watch Star Trek Discovery, I would say that's more for ladies and others.
So you're saying Picard?
Oh, that's just a slap in the face to all of us as Star Trek fans. That is bottom 2 Star Treks ever. Maybe bottom Star Trek ever is Picard. It might be worse than Discovery because you take such beloved characters and like rub dirt and doo-doo on their face. It's like it's like if they did Lord of the Rings. It's like if they're like, we're making Lord of the Rings 2. Return of the King Part 2, and the like, I don't know, Arwen just gets like dirty dicked by some like goblins or something at the beginning.
It's literally, it would actually be like if Lord of the Rings came back and you got to see Frodo's life, and everyone's like, fuck you, Frodo, can't believe what you did after the ring. And he's like, looks at the camera, he's like, you don't know what I did after the ring, do you? It was pretty bad.
I don't want to get it. I don't want to get into like a whole nerdy thing here, but like Captain, like Patrick Stewart, you've probably seen like memes of him as Captain Picard, and like the way he played that character was very serious. He didn't think of it as a silly role. He's a dramatically trained actor, so he played it seriously, and he's sort of like this space diplomat who thinks and talks his way out of things, and he comes to the table with reason.
Literally a superhero, as far as superhero as a regular human could be.
Yeah,
not counting Batman, but yeah,
he's the negotiator. Like he's the smartest guy in the room. I think 100%.
I tell people he's the type of guy that could sit down with like Yoda and Palpatine and negotiate a truce between the Jedi and the Sith.
For sure.
And he's just a guy, but he literally is like, there's some things you guys should talk about.
Yeah. So then they have him in this new show, and it's okay that Patrick Stewart is a very old man. He's pushing 90 or whatever. You can work around that. Put him in that goddamn chair and have him point forward and have him outthink some fucking aliens. Instead, they got him like limping, jogging upstairs with 30 cuts. And I think they had him on a toilet with his pants down. And it's like get out of here. So none of that. But if you want to watch good Star Trek, it's Brave New Worlds. There's this new show that's got Captain Pike. I've talked about it before. Yeah. That is an amazing show. That is so good. It's brand new Star Trek with young, new actors for the most part, and it's spectacular. I have
a question about it, Kyle.
Yes.
All right. So there are two kinds of Star Treks, according to me. One is Star Trek Next Generation, like you pointed out. And that, to me, is office worker Star Trek, right? Where what they're really looking for are people who are good at calculus, people who make good decisions, people who are diplomats, etc. Then there's the movie Star Trek, my favorite, where they're like, look, we got a problem that we need solving. Anyone here good at base jumping motocross with hand-to-hand combat skills? That's the kind of Star Trek that I like. I like it when fucking Captain Kirk hops on a dirt bike to create a diversion, right? Which one is this?
This is a good mixture of the two. And I think the captain is a very interesting mixture of former captains, right? Like he's definitely a thinking guy, and it seems like he's more into delegating and like having his team go out and do shit. And his hair is just so fucking on point. It's a thing of beauty. Show me Captain Pike's hair, please. I've told you about this. This is the guy who knows his future and knows he's going to get his face melted and be in a wheelchair, and all he's going to communicate with beeps and boops. He's like R2-D2 with an ugly face. He knows that's coming, but he's going to allow it to happen because he knows how many people are going to live. He knows their names. He knows the names of the children who will live. And he kind of like lives with that day to day. But that's like 10 years from. Oh my God! Look at that.
Damn,
that's a man.
I gotta check this
now.
Show
me that smoke show with a beard. Show me. Google this. Captain Pike with beard.
Naked.
You're gonna. Well, he's shirtless. Don't worry.
This is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, right?
Strange New Worlds. I said.
Yeah. I didn't watch this one, but I've heard great things. And I even watched, like, there's actually quite a few more Star Treks, like what you're talking about, Woody. They've kind of expanded into more because, that's great.
Could knock him out.
They did, like, when I first got Star Trek, like, I saw the trailer for the J.J. Abrams movie where the kid was, like, playing Beastie Boys and, like, driving in the old school car and the fast car. Like, the cop super bike reaches up to him and the kid's like so fast in the car, like shifting gears, and he jumps out and the cop's like, what's your name? And he's like, my name's James Kirk. And
James Tiberius Kirk.
Yeah, I was like, this is sick. Cool, I'll check it out. J.J. Abrams gets things excited, gets me excited for things. Doesn't always see it to the end. But I saw that. I was like, oh, Star Trek's cool. I'm going to go check out Star Trek. I'm ready in my life to watch a mature space show, whatever it may be. No idea what it was. I put on Star Trek, the original series, and tried. I tried.
This is the oldest one with Shatner.
The oldest one, yeah. And it just was not for me. I couldn't do it. Everything about it to me sucked at the time. Then I went to Next Generation, and I actually couldn't do it. I didn't like Next Generation. And then my buddy I told him, I was like, I didn't like Next Generation. He's like, yeah, you have to start when Riker has a beard. If you're watching before Riker has the beard, you're there too early. So it's literally season 3 is where it finds its footing. And now if anyone ever wanted to watch, any of you fucking losers listening to this podcast right now, you want to watch it,
but there's not fat.
Go to you fit fucking, you know what? You're not fat, but you were always skinny. You're weak and you're you're deadlifting a bunch it doesn't matter, you little fucking pushover. You're still a skinny fucking weakling loser. You make me sick. You're a bitch, and I don't care if you don't like when I'm
with your dribbly, watery cum loads.
Yes, so true.
This Next Generation, I use a watch list. Guy listening at home, use the watch list. Watch the best episodes, the best order if you want. Then you'll go back and watch a whole bunch. But I always loved Darmok and Jalada Tanagra. But long story short, that was a whole type of Star Trek.
When the walls fell.
And then Voyager and Deep Space, they're kind of like Next Generation. No, he's right. Temba, his arms wide.
What's the next part? It was like something. His
Shaka, when the walls fell, Temba, his arms wide. Yeah. Anyways, it's a great episode. But then the other ones are kind of like that too. And then the Star Trek movies, like I really like the ones with Picard, but you could still go watch Wrath of Khan. Because that one's old Star Trek, But what's so cool about it is like the whole thing's filmed in like one fucking room, and somehow it's an amazing movie. It's a cheap ass fucking movie, Wrath of Khan, but I like it. Yes.
Wrath of Khan uses a lot of shots from the movie before.
Oh, does it?
Actually, no, it's the other one. It's the next one. Search for Spock reuses some Wrath of Khan shots.
Okay. I only watched Wrath of Khan during pandemic because I couldn't deal with old school Star Trek. And I liked the J.J. Abrams movies. They were like fun, but not like how Star Trek is. Star Trek is like, what's fun is like when like something happens in Next Generation and you kind of like pause it or you finish it after and you're like, what would I do? And like, sometimes a scenario happens and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what Picard's going to do, because you like and you admire how he thinks and how he approaches problems and problem solving. Now they're a bit more action oriented. They like Discovery is like a whole bunch of action scenes and like high stakes stuff that it's like there's not even a philosophical question. So it's like the philosophical Star Trek and then the action Star Trek. And I don't know where Strange New Worlds is at, but I watched Star Trek Prodigy. Which was and I watched the first episode. I meant to go back, but I was like,
the animated thing, right?
Yeah. I was like, that was fun. It wasn't philosophical Star Trek.
No,
it was like the other one, but it was kind of fun.
Star Trek is one of my areas of study. The original TV show is sort of unwatchable, in my opinion. It's worth going back if you admire things like the filming locations outside Los Angeles and noticing that's, hey, I've seen Little House on the Prairie. They just put aluminum foil on the rocks. Like, I've been there. Like, we shot my stupid YouTube video out there. Everything's shot out there on those fucking rocks. They just throw aluminum foil on it. So it's almost unwatchable. The one I mentioned, Strange New Worlds, I believe, they bring the Gorn back, who is that laughable enemy from 1969, that man in the green rubber suit. The Gorn are the scariest fucking thing in this new show. Like, they use human bodies to they put their eggs in them. It sounds like they rape people with their egg sacs or something. They sort of dance around exactly what they're going to do to these people. But like, there's one person who was like the only survivor from a Gorn attack, and she's got like PTSD, and she gets all shaky when they deal with them. And anytime they deal with them, it's just life or death. It's not like, I don't know. Well, fire the phasers. It's like, run into the sun, fly into the sun. They literally fly into the sun. Like, deeper. It's like one of those submarine movies where they got to go deeper. They're doing that, but with the fucking sun, because the Gorn are after them. It's that scary. And no, I like that one a lot. Next Generation, like you said, very philosophical. The Drumhead is one of the better episodes. That's when they bring aboard this like Federation prosecutor, and she's looking for fucking malfeasance. There's like an accident aboard, and the it was an accident isn't good enough. She's like, conspiracy is afoot, and she like infects the security officer. She's like, Worf, I need you to be in charge of this investigation. There are saboteurs afoot, and all of a sudden it gets very militarized, and Picard's being squeezed out because she's called 3 admirals, and they're going to have a big like military like tribunal or whatever, and she's over there all hoity-toity. And Picard just walks in front of him. No. And just fucking lays it out there. Just lays it down. Brings up these historical references and fucking points fingers and hurts feelings. And when it's done, she's a jabbering mess. And all the admirals walk out of the room without she's disgraced. Everybody walks out.
Is this Next
Generation?
The Next Generation, yeah.
And Worf is like an Urukai, by the way. So if you put him in charge of security, that's cool. But now imagine your Urukai is like trying to lead everything.
Yeah, he apologizes to Picard after that one. He apologizes.
Oh yeah, because he's a half elf, half Urukai.
It's true. He apologizes twice. He apologizes another time. When when Data has to take command. He like speaks out of turn in front of the crew, and Data takes him in the back. And he's like, if you can't perform your duties, I'm gonna relieve you of your of them. You know, he's like, well, what have I done wrong? He's like, you question my orders in front of the crew. You'd never question Captain Picard's orders in front of the crew. Not like that, you wouldn't. And he's like, God damn it, you're right, Data. I'm sorry.
Data's like a break. That's like a breakout character.
Data goes, I hope this hasn't ruined our friendship, Mr. Worf. And Data goes, it is I who endangered our friendship. And they have like this bro, they like bro out so hard that you know that they've coalesced so much now that when they go back out into that room, we're all working now. While we're on the subject of like super nerdy shit,
Okay.
I want this.
We have here. This is a Star Trek, a Klingon Batlach.
It's a batlet.
And it has a hanger too, so you can put it on your wall. That way everyone will know how cool you are.
yeah. Loud and proud, baby. Loud and proud.
This is good.
That would be so embarrassing to hang up in your house.
Oh no, there's nothing wrong. I heard they're more effective than condoms at preventing pregnancy. You won't get a fuck, is what after this.
Any girl who doesn't think bat lefts are cool doesn't deserve
Which is all of them.
You can't get any dick at my house if you don't think fucking bat lefts are sick. All right?
There's the Asian guy that must be Doctor Strange's background friend. I just saw him. Yeah.
Probably he's a little heavy.
Taking a blue shield, being like, "I will too fight in the battle."
I like this thing. I wonder how thick it is. Like, I wonder if it's a little sheet metally.
46 inches long and 3 kilograms, so 6.6
pounds.
6 pounds.
I just don't want it to be flexible.
No, I don't either. There's another one on there that's much hardier, but it's $850, and it doesn't look like Worf's.
Needs to. That's the whole point.
I needed to look like Worf's bat left. Yeah. I've been watching a lot of I've seen Star Trek so many fucking times, but I'm rewatching it a little bit lately at TNG. And, my favorite episodes are the Worf episodes when he like regains his family honor and fights in the Klingon Civil War and all that shit. And
he has some good story arcs.
He actually has some pretty decent story arcs. His baby mama gets murdered by the same man who is the descendant of the guy who stole his family's honor by telling a lie. The great lie was that Worf's father Moog betrayed the Klingon Empire to the Romulans at the Battle of Kittimer, and that wasn't true. It was Duras's father who did that, but they blamed it on Moog, and Worf was cast out, had to live in shame, raised on Earth by humans.
There's a complication that had Worf keep the secret that made his family look bad.
Yep.
I forget it though.
Yeah, it was that the guy who had the descent. So if your father does something dishonorable, you are dishonored. You lose all like status. Well, it turns out this Duras guy was the one whose father betrayed them to the Romulans, and so they had to keep the secret because so many of the members of the High Council also had been telling this lie, which is also a very dishonorable thing. That to uncover the truth would dishonor far too many people in power and perhaps upend the entire Klingon Empire. So he kept the dishonor on his shoulders for the betterment of the entire Klingon Empire. And it wasn't until much later on when Duras rebels against the Klingon Empire and faces off against the rightful emperor that it's time to side with the emperor, fight Duras, and it's actually Duras' sisters because Worf kills Duras because Duras killed Worf's mate. And in any case, it's a cool storyline. Probably sounds like the nerdiest shit ever to anybody who doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. But I like it. I like it a lot. And I like Michael Dorn, who plays Worf. I think he's a pretty fucking good actor. Instead of that nonsense Picard series, they should have made Captain Worf. And it should have just been about a gray-haired Worf with his own fucking ship running it the fucking Klingon way and doing his own. He's about the same age as Picard was, I guess, now when he was the captain. Nice old gray
Sometimes
Worf.
Kyle comes up with premises for shows that are top notch. Like,
It'd be such a good fucking show.
yeah.
You should pitch that.
I'm sure it's been pitched before. I bet if you Google Captain Worf, you get a bunch of fucking stuff pop up.
Probably do.
But because he's one of the most beloved characters ever, and because of he wears so much makeup, it doesn't matter that he's old. Like they keep trying to bring back these really old characters from TNG, and it's like, dude, they've aged out. Like they're all 60 to 70 years old. Like they're not capable anymore. They don't have the look. But Worf wears so much makeup that, like, I'm sure he looks great right now, as long as he's still marginally fit.
He is. Yeah, I'm Googling him. He's probably fitter than you're imagining. Like, he's fucking...
He got fat around the movies. Like, in the latter couple of movies, he was, it looks good now. Good. Yeah.
I'll show everybody.
Yeah. Great fucking actor. One of my favorite Star Trek characters of all time. Had an incredible story arc, and they brought him back for Deep Space Nine, which is my favorite Star Trek. So he did like 6 years of The Next Generation, and then like 5 or 6 more on Deep Space Nine, and he did all the TNG movies. Like, they always found a way to shoehorn a way to get Worf into the fucking movie, and I fucking like him. Great character.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You've got great lines. Lots of, I don't know, lots of cool moments.
Maybe Star Trek someday. I'll watch all the Marvel stuff before Star Trek. Although I guess I'm watching the last scene of the whole thing.
There's a part in Star Trek, one of the movies, and like Picard's kind of lost it. He's on like a rage-fueled revenge kind of binge, wanting to fight the Borg, and Worf is like, they're taking deck after deck, sir. We've got to abandon ship. And Picard calls him, he goes, coward. And like, you don't call Worf a coward. Worf is willing to fucking die for anything. There's a scene in where Worf is taken captive in Deep Space Nine, and he's taken captive by this warrior race, and so they make him fight against each of them. They start with like their weakest guy. They make Worf fight him, and Worf fights a struggled fight, but he beats and kills the guy. And he's like, "Is that your best?" And he's like, "That was our worst." And it's like, shit. And he fights like 5 or 6 of these Jem'Hadar in a row, like beating each one in succession, with a few hours rest in between. And then he fights like the leader of them all, the biggest badass. And he's going in with broken ribs and like torn ligaments and stuff. And he's losing the fight. And like the way the fights works, if you get knocked down, you got to stand up and press a button to continue. And he keeps doing it. And the leader's standing over him, and the leader's leader is like, finish him, kill him. He's like, no. And he clicks the button that is like, quit. Like the guy who's winning the fight admits defeat to Worf, even though Worf was losing badly at this point. He's like, I can only kill this man. I can never beat him. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking Worf. All you can do is kill him. You can never beat him. It's like such a good character. I fucking love it.
That's a good line.
And that's what he says to the end when Picard calls him a coward. He's like,
was.
if you were any other man, I would kill you where you stand. It's like, yeah. Great fucking line.
At least Star Trek. I don't even know. Oh, the Picard thing. I haven't watched Picard.
Oh, and the what's the fucking super lame one that's like 2 seasons in, Discovery. Oh, Discovery's an abortion.
Really?
Discovery is disgusting. And then yeah, Picard was just an abomination. It's just so bad. It's
you make
so
me want to
bad.
see it. Yeah, I'm at least curious about it. You know what?
Watch it. They just completely. First of all, it's convoluted, and their own storyline doesn't make sense when you really stop and like wait a minute, why can't the Romulans evacuate their own planet? Why do they need anybody else's help? Oh, they don't have enough ships, huh? Oh, but look, there's literally 1,000 ships that show up for the battle. It's just ridiculous. They bring back old characters and literally torture them to death in one scene, like a pretty beloved character from Voyager. 7 of 9's in it.
I hope it's Neely. Does Neely get tortured to death?
That's Neelix, and no, he does not.
Fuck.
And it's just bad. Patrick Stewart is too old. Like I didn't think I would have a problem with him being too old, because it was like, all right, he'll play the retired captain.
And he looked old in the 90s, so he looks
decrepit.
Well, okay, in the like Twitter posts and such, I see he looks a little older, but roughly like I remember him.
Dude, he can't. So like, even if Patrick Stewart is still kind of with it, Captain Picard is long gone over the hill.
Okay.
Captain Picard can't jog. Captain Picard is always huffing and puffing in any action scene. Captain Picard is just a broken down version of his former self who does things that don't make any sense. Like if you watch, if you watched all of his shit before, all that Next Generation stuff, you're like, wait a minute, Picard didn't like Data. Data was like a coworker. Geordi was Data's friend. They were like this. Yeah. They were buddies. Picard didn't give a shit about Data. And this, Picard's literally dreaming about Data, like having these weird dreams about Data because Data died in the last movie.
Picard respected Data, and he defended him when he needed his help. But he, like you said, they weren't.
They were co-workers. There was respect.
Yeah.
But in this, they make it out to be like this brotherly love story that they've got, or like father-son thing almost, that he can't forget about Data. He can't get him out of his mind, and it's bad. It's real bad. There's a couple of terrible actors in it. A lot of one-dimensional characters in it that are just hard to watch after 5 or 6 episodes of this shit. The production value is great. They're on location and it looks good. The ship battles look great. The ships themselves look cool. There are some cool actors in there, but the story makes no fucking sense. Not even a little bit. It's just bad.
We'll see. I wish like I hadn't watched it. I like a thing in Star Trek I think I have a minority opinion. The Star Trek movies, fucking sign me up. It's like, we've got some space pirates here. Is anyone good at base jumping and motocross? Because that's the skill set that'll solve this problem. All right, fine. Yeah. Some fighter pilots in there, play some rock music, and we got ourselves a Star Trek movie. And I'm like, yeah, sabotage, rocket baby. I'm jazzed. I have watched that scene where they play Sabotage to bust all the mining ships up 100 times on YouTube. It's on YouTube. And I crank it up.
That movie's so bad. I like the first one. I like the first Star Trek.
I'll admit, most people will agree with you, but I agree with me. And I like that movie.
Fair enough.
Star Trek, the one where he's like, tell our kids I love them, as he's...
Yeah, that's the first one.
Okay. See? Yeah. We're talking about.
Yeah, you remember one scene from that one movie you watched a time or two?
Yeah. A time. Yeah.
The first Star Trek in particular was amazing. Now that also
I liked. I had to admit, I liked that one.
Yeah.
It was fresh, and it had been so long since they'd done anything that it really won me over. And still, I would like it if I watched it today. They did both of the sequels.
They did a couple of things with the first one in particular. This is the reboot one. One, it had the stuff I enjoy. Literally, they're space mining, base jumping, shooting up, to solve problems right at the start of the movie. But the plot line was actually clever and complex. It involved time travel, and it enabled them to sort of reset the canon in a way that fit the canon so they could tell more stories. And
the only thing that didn't make sense, and I bet you never thought about this because I hadn't either. So that Romulan guy goes back in time, right? Following Spock.
Okay.
Spock comes out in the time of when Kirk's being born. Back in time, 80 years or whatever it was. A long way. Then he destroys the ship that Kirk was being born on and kills Kirk's father, and Kirk escapes in an escape pod, right? Baby Kirk.
Okay.
He makes it to Earth, grows up, and becomes a grown-ass man so that he can very quickly get on board the Enterprise and graduate from Starfleet, all that stuff. Where the fuck was the Romulan while Kirk was growing up, stealing cars, going to Starfleet, getting all of his degrees, doing that fucking competency test, learning to shoot a phaser, fucking all those green bitches? Where was the Romulan during all of those 25, 30 years? He was chilling out there in space waiting on Spock. I just imagine him sitting there whew, time does not fly when you're just sitting here for 20 years, does it? That's the biggest plot hole in that movie. But I admit it. That movie is fun. I liked something new because it'd been...
did I mention base jumping? Because that was cool.
Well, it was like more like a Halo jump. That was incredible. It was cool.
Yeah,
and then
it
Mr.
was.
Sulu pulls out some sort of flexi foley sword out of his back. Like, holy shit! Why did they have that on board? I don't care because now he has a sword.
Some guys were badasses. And they not so good with Jeeps and mailboxes.
I shave with this. Problem? It's like a folding katana. Kate's portrayal of Captain Janeway is truly iconic, and it has resonated with a global audience for many years. No, none of that's true. No, it's true.
Right?
It wasn't iconic. It didn't resonate. It was one note, and she was fucking spastic as hell. Her personality shifted 4 times throughout the series. Wildly, she became a different person every time the writers needed her to be.
Did you hate Neelix too?
Everyone hates fucking Neelix. Everyone hates fucking Neelix. I flipped by it on Netflix the other day, and they've got like that picture of the whole cast, you know, kind of posing together in their uniforms, and I was just like, piece of shit, wasted character, boring, no backstory, not interesting. Had 2 good episodes, big titties, I like you, and Black Vulcan. It was just like. It was such a bad show. I love Star Trek. It's one of my favorite things ever. But
who's good on Voyager?
I really liked 7 of 9, obviously.
Yes.
Not only is she super sexy, played by Jerry Ryan, but I liked kind of her character's growth from like, you know, learning to be a human again and learning to like socialize and date and all that stuff. I liked the Doctor. He had a very similar thing where he grew from this like emergency medical hologram into like a person. By the end of it, he's his own man. He got that mobile holo emitter thing. So even though he's a hologram, he can go anywhere without being like locked into the med bay.
Chakotay, better than average.
Chakotay's kind of wasted. He was cool. I liked him. I kind of liked the Native American thing. He was also a boxer. That was like his hobby. But he never really got expanded upon, you know, and they immediately flipped that switch. The show was supposed to be about like how the, you know,
rivals,
the Maquis, which are terrorists, and the Federation crew both lost half their crews, and now they've got to integrate into one. And there's supposed to be this tension all the time. They get over that in 2 episodes. It's like, all right, now we're all going to be fucking button up Federation officers. Forget all that terrorism thing that we were doing for years and years and our hatred for the Federation. We're all officers now. And then B'Elanna Torres, you know, the engineer, the half Klingon engineer, she's just got anger issues. That's her entire character arc. And then Harry Kim is just like baby-dicked Asian man who's going to be a fucking ensign for like he's the most accomplished ensign in the history of the Federation. Like he's led his own missions and flown ships and single-handedly won victories.
It's hard to get promoted in on Voyager, right? Like
yeah, they'd all be commanders by the end.
Yeah.
And then Tom Paris, kind of a cool character, but they really just turned him into a pussy that hangs out in the holodeck and plays like 1940s action hero and is B'Elanna's husband by the end. That's all he is. When he started out as a kind of a cool character that actually was originally a Star Trek The Next Generation character from an episode where he was friends with Wesley Crusher at the Academy, and they did this illegal like flight thing, and they got another guy killed, but they changed his name, kept the same backstory essentially because they didn't want to like pay the original writers who wrote his character like twice, so they just gave him a new name. And Neelix is garbage as fuck. You know, if you look at Next Generation, how they've got like Whoopi Goldberg playing Guinan, really great character. You're always like she was the real counselor on the ship because fucking the actual counselor was just a piece of shit. Neelix is awful though, and Kes was even worse. His child bride, like Kes is part of this race of people, Taylor, who live to be like 5 years old. So by 3, they're fucking, and they look like a grown woman. And Neelix just has this like 3-year-old girlfriend that I assume he's fucking with his gross spotted alien cock whenever he wants.
And she's gonna die at 5?
Yeah, but they wrote her out when she got to about 4. They had her become some sort of like.
Was she elderly at that point?
No, they never did that. She like became some sort of like super being and like floated away and went to explore the galaxy like as an apparition.
Is Leonardo DiCaprio.
What about what?
He would like that species because he gets a new girl every time they age at all.
Oh,
every 5 years they die, and that's
he only had the one child alien with him. Yeah. Terrible show. Terrible fucking show. I hated it. I watched it all. I've seen it all twice.
Why'd you do that to
you know? Terrible show.
If you like bad shows, you should watch Raised by Wolves.
If you like bad shows, check out Star Trek Voyager. Watch all 7 or 8 seasons or whatever the fuck there is.
You watched 8 seasons of a show you don't like twice?
At least. Yeah, twice. Yeah. I watched it as it came out.
I mean,
Deep Space Nine is the best.
Deep Space Nine is by far the best. Next Generation is the second best. And then Star Trek Enterprise is just okay. And Star Trek, the original series, you can't even stand to watch. It's so goofy. And then Voyager is like we just said, just pretty fucking bad. And I will not watch that new Star Trek because I just won't. I just won't.
I like the new movies.